June 13th, 1944, Villers-Bocage, Normandy, France. Hill 2113, just outside the town, 7:42 in the morning. The air hung thick with the damp chill of Normandy dawn. Mist curling around the gnarled trunks of oak and birch that fringed the edge of Hill 213. Somewhere in the distance, a bird chirped, a fragile sound lost almost immediately to the stillness that pressed down on the countryside like a heavy blanket. Beneath the trees, half concealed by shadows and low-hanging branches, a 56-ton behemoth waited. It was a Tiger heavy tank, serial number 2112, its massive steel hull hunched like a predatory cat, coiled to spring. Dew had settled on the barrel of its 88mm main gun, the cold metal glistening as the first faint rays of sunlight began to pierce the mist, turning the droplets into tiny pearls that clung to the rifled steel. Inside the cramped, dimly lit turret, Oberstleutnant Michael Wittmann leaned forward, his right eye pressed to the rubber eyepiece of the tank's periscope. At 30 years old, his face bore the faint lines of a man who had seen more than his share of war, a scar that traced from his left temple to his jawline, a gift from a Russian bullet on the Eastern Front, and eyes that were sharp, calm, and calculating. His right hand rested lightly on the turret traverse wheel, the metal cool beneath his gloved fingers, while his left gripped the radio handset, its cord coiled neatly against the turret wall. His breathing was steady, slow, the kind of controlled rhythm that came from years of training and countless hours in the heat of battle. His heart beat strong, not with fear, but with the focused anticipation of a hunter who knows his prey is near. Wittmann was no ordinary tank commander. As the leader of 2nd Company, 10th Heavy Panzer Battalion, part of the Waffen-SS, with subdued rank insignia rather than bold declarations, he had already carved out a legend in the German armored forces. Before this morning, he had destroyed 117 enemy tanks, a tally that seemed almost impossible to those who didn't know him. The Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross with oak leaves, Germany's highest military honors, rested on his chest, the metal cold even through the thick fabric of his field tunic. To his men, he was more than an officer. He was a survivor who turned impossible odds into victories, leading by example and never asking his crew to do what he wouldn't. To the Allies, he was a ghost, a specter in steel who appeared out of nowhere, left a trail of burning wrecks, and vanished back into the fog of war. But this morning, even for Wittmann, the odds seemed insurmountable. 7 days earlier, on June 6th, 1944, D-Day, the Allies had launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in human history. More than 150,000 American, British, and Canadian troops stormed the Normandy beaches, punching through Hitler's Atlantic Wall. By June 13th, they had secured a foothold and were pushing inland, their sights set on Caen, a strategic crossroads that would open the way to Paris. Leading that push was the British 7th Armored Division, the Desert Rats, elite veterans of North Africa, who had defeated Rommel's Afrika Korps. Now, they moved west to outflank Caen and cut off German defenders. If they succeeded, the entire Normandy line would collapse. Wittmann's orders were brutal and clear. Stop them. The problem was his Bingli instead of the 12 Tigers his company should have fielded. He had just 6 operational vehicles, 6 Tigers against the 22nd Armored Brigade's 250-plus tanks and armored vehicles, Shermans, Cromwells, Stuarts, half-tracks, and anti-tank guns. He had no air support, no artillery, no infantry screen. All he had was 6 Tigers, his crew, and his wits. The journey to Normandy had whittled down his force. 5 days earlier, The 101st Heavy Panzer Battalion had departed Beauvais with 45 Tigers, the cream of Germany's armor. The Tiger, I was an engineering marvel. 102 mm front armor, 82 mm side armor, and 88 mm Cow K-36L, divided by 56 main, originally designed as an anti-aircraft weapon. This gun was the deadliest anti-tank tool of the war, capable of piercing any Allied tank's front armor at 2,000 meters. The Allies were outgunned and out-armored. The American M4 Sherman and British Cromwell carried 75 mm guns that barely scratched the Tiger's front armor, even at point-blank range. Only the modified Sherman Firefly, fitted with a 17-pounder gun, could pierce the Tiger's front armor at 1,000 yards. But Fireflies were rare and used sparingly as ambush weapons. Yet the Tiger's flaws and Allied air dominance had taken a toll. The 160-kilometer march from Beauvais forced the battalion to hide by day and move by night. Allied Typhoon fighter bombers swarmed the skies like locusts, their rockets and bombs destroying tanks or forcing mechanical failures. The Tiger's 700 horsepower Maybach engine strained under its 56-ton weight, topping out at 37 kilometers on roads and 20 kilometers off-road. Its 700-liter fuel tank lasted just 12 kilometers on roads, 67 kilometers off-road. By the time they reached the front, only 17 Tigers remained operational. Wittmann's second company arrived at Hill 213 in the early hours of June 12th. Of his 12 assigned Tigers, 6 remained to hunt his command tank. 213, 214, 224, 231, and 232. Each crew had fought with Wittmann for 18 months, from Russia's frozen steppes to France's rolling hills. A family bound by blood, sweat, and mutual survival. Heinrich Lehmer, 20, the driver from Hamburg, was Wittmann's best. A prodigy who made the 56-ton Tiger navigate narrow trails and bombed out villages with impossible precision. Karl Wagner, 24, the Munich-born gunner, was an Olympic sharpshooter whose steady hands hit moving targets at 2,000 meters. Gunther Weber, 20, the stocky loader, could reload the 10.2-kilogram 88mm rounds in 15 seconds, 8 seconds faster than the manual's requirement. Rudolf Herschel, 20, the quiet radio operator from Berlin, handled communications and manned the 7.92mm MG-34 machine gun, acting as the crew's eyes and ears. Together, they had destroyed 88 enemy tanks, marked by 88 white death rings on the two-hearted Tiger's hull. But this morning, they knew the number would grow if they survived. At 7:50 a.m., the mist lifted, and Wittmann's periscope cleared. Below Hill 213, a narrow country road stretched through fields, and along it, an endless column of British armor moved slowly north, bumper to bumper. No cover, no concealment. Cromwell's, Sherman's, Fireflies, Stuart's, MF chaff tracks, Bren gun carriers, and towed 6-pounder anti-tank guns stretched as far as the eye could see. Wittmann counted quickly, 50 vehicles at least. This was the 4th county of London Yeomanry, the sharpshooters of the 22nd Armored Brigade. Fresh from capturing Villers-Bocage, they marched north towards Caen, overconfident and convinced the area was clear of German armor. They never saw the predator watching from the hills. Wittmann pressed the intercom, his voice calm and matter-of-fact. All crew, attention, enemy armor column spotted ahead. Prepare for combat. Wagner's hands moved to the gun controls. Weber grabbed a round. Lehmer shifted into gear, and Herschel tuned the radio. Wittmann picked up the radio handset. 213, 214, stay on the hill, provide fire support. 224, 231, 232. Follow my lead. First target, lead vehicle. Second, rear vehicle. Block the column, then pick them off one by one. It was a classic ambush. Cut head and tail, trap the body. But 50 vehicles against 4 tigers was borderline insane. At 7:55 a.m., Wittmann ordered, "Lamer, move out." The 212 tiger lurched forward, tracks grinding into the hillside, followed by the 3 other tigers. The 200-meter distance to the road closed fast, and the British column never glanced up, too busy celebrating their recent capture of Villers-Bocage to notice the steel monsters bearing down. Wittmann waited until they were 100 meters away, point blank for the 88mm gun. "Wagner, fire!" the gun roared, filling the turret with smoke and acrid gunpowder. The tank lurched back under recoil, and 2 seconds later, the lead M21 half-track erupted in flame, flipping onto its side as crew and passengers were thrown clear. "Loaded," Weber shouted, slamming another round into the breech. "Target the rear Cromwell," Wittmann ordered. Wagner swiveled the turret, and the 88mm round struck the Cromwell's 40mm side armor, punching through to the ammo rack. The tank exploded, its turret flying 10 meters into the air before crashing back down. The column was trapped. Lead and rear vehicles burned, blocking the road. British crews scrambled in shock, some firing wildly, others staring in disbelief as the 4 tigers rumbled onto the road. What followed was a massacre. Wittmann's tiger moved parallel to the road at 40 kilometers, stopping every 100 meters to aim and fire. The crew worked in perfect harmony. Stop, aim, shoot, advance. Third shot, an M5 Stewart's turret blew off, crew bodies falling as the tank burned. Fourth shot, a Cromwell's engine caught fire, its 75mm round bouncing harmlessly off the tiger's armor. Fifth shot, another M21 half-track, exploded, passengers cut down by Herschel's machine gun. Sixth shot, a Bren gun carrier became twisted metal. The road became hell, flames licking the sky, black smoke choking the air, explosions echoing through the valley. British soldiers fled their burning vehicles, only to be cut down by machine guns. Their 75mm rounds bounced off the tigers' armor like pebbles off a brick wall. Then Wittmann spotted the threat, a Sherman Firefly, its longer 17-pounder barrel aimed directly at the 212 Tiger. "Firefly, 3 o'clock," he shouted. Wagner and the British gunner fired simultaneously. The Firefly's round grazed the Tiger's turret, scraping paint, but the 88mm round hit dead center, penetrating the armor and detonating the ammo rack. The Firefly exploded in a massive fireball, its turret flying into the air. In 5 minutes, 25 British tanks and armored vehicles burned on the road. The 2 hillside Tigers destroyed 7 more fleeing vehicles, and the 3 accompanying Tigers each took out 3 to 5 targets. The sharpshooters had lost half their strength in 10 minutes. But Wittmann wasn't done. Through his periscope, he saw Villers-Bocage 2 kilometers away. More British vehicles, more soldiers. The radio crackled. "Herr Oberstleutnant, mission accomplished. Should we withdraw?" It was the smart move. Regroup, re-air, prepare, but Wittmann knew the British would rally if he pulled back. He was silent for 3 seconds, weighing the risk. Urban combat was a death trap for tanks. Narrow streets, hidden infantry, anti-tank weapons around every corner. But retreat meant losing the chaos he'd created. "All vehicles, hold position," he said. "I'm going into the town alone." Protests erupted over the radio, but Wittmann didn't listen. "Lamer, head for the town." The driver nodded, and the 212 Tiger turned toward Villers-Bocage, leaving the other Tigers in awe. At 8:02 a.m., the Tiger reached the town's edge, Three M5 Stuarts blocked the road, their 37mm guns firing uselessly at the Tiger's armor. "Return fire," Wittmann ordered. Wagner fired 3 times, destroying all 3 Stuarts. The Tiger rumbled over the burning wrecks and entered the town. Villers-Bocage was a maze of narrow cobblestone streets, stone houses with red tile roofs, and a central square dominated by a fountain and church. "Lamer, keep moving. Don't stop," Wittmann ordered. The driver navigated tight turns, avoiding walls, keeping the tank in motion, the best defense against ambushes. Around a sharp corner, a Cromwell appeared, 30 meters away. Both gunners fired at the same time. The Cromwell's round bounced off the Tiger's armor, while the 88mm round punched through the Cromwell's front, exploding inside. "Another one," Wittmann said calmly. The street became a cat-and-mouse game. Every corner held a threat, but the Tiger pressed on around another bend. 2 artillery observation tanks, a Cromwell and a Sherman, were parked. Wagner fired twice, destroying both. The ammo rack dwindled, but there was no time to reload. They reached the town square, where dozens of British vehicles, command cars, trucks, half-tracks, medical vehicles, marked the 22nd Armored Brigade's headquarters. Soldiers stared in shock as the Tiger rumbled into the center, guns swiveling. Then Wittmann saw it, a second Firefly, parked near the church. "Firefly, 12 o'clock," he shouted. Both tanks fired. The Firefly's round hit a nearby stone house, bringing it crashing down on the Tiger. The Tiger's round hit the Firefly's turret, but didn't detonate. The Firefly fired again, denting the Tiger's right front armor. "Reload," Wittmann ordered. Weber slammed in a round, and Wagner's second shot hit the Firefly's ammo rack. The tank exploded, its turret flying 50 meters into the church graveyard, collapsing another building and blocking the square's exit. "Herr Oberstleutnant, we're trapped," Lamer shouted. The Tiger reversed, but a Cromwell charged from behind. Captain Pat Diaz, hiding in a barn, aiming for the Tiger's 82mm rear armor. Diaz fired, but Lamer reacted instantly, slamming on brakes, spinning the wheel, hitting the accelerator. The Tiger skidded sideways, and the Cromwell's round hit the street. Wagner swiveled the turret and fired, destroying the Cromwell. Diaz and his crew died instantly. "Get us out of here," Wittmann ordered. The Tiger reversed toward the town's edge, but at a 十字路口, a loud explosion rocked the tank. "We're hit," Lamer shouted. "Left track is broken." The Tiger could only spin in circles, a sitting duck. Outside, British infantry poured into the street, setting up anti-tank guns. "Abandon tank," Wittmann ordered. The crew climbed out, Herschel first, then Weber, Wagner, Lamer, and finally Wittmann, pausing to glance at the Tiger's controls before jumping down. A British anti-tank round hit the Tiger's side, but bounced off. The crew sprinted into the woods, walking 6 kilometers through mud in exhaustion, avoiding patrols. At 8:45 a.m., they reached the German lines, stumbling into the Panzerlehr Division's headquarters. "Oberstleutnant Wittmann, you're alive," intelligence officer Captain Kaufmann exclaimed, handing him coffee. "The town has at least a battalion of British soldiers," Wittmann said hoarsely. "We need reinforcements immediately." Wittmann drove back to Hill 213, reorganized his remaining 5 Tigers, and prepared for a counterattack. That afternoon, Panzerlehr Division's Panzer ITs, supported by Wittmann's Tigers, attacked Villers-Bocage from 3 sides. The British, still reeling, fought hard but were outnumbered. By evening, the town was back in German hands, and the British retreated. Their push on Caen halted. The Battle of Villers-Bocage became a Torsay tank battle classic. In 27 minutes, 7:55 a. to 8:22 a.m., Wittmann's 212 Tiger destroyed 21 British tanks and countless vehicles. Total British losses topped 50 armored vehicles and hundreds of soldiers. The 22nd Armored Brigade was shattered, and the Caen advance delayed by weeks. German propaganda seized on the story. Goebbels' ministry produced newsreels titled "One Man Against an Armored Brigade," and Hitler awarded Wittmann the Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords. Wittmann became a household name in Germany, but fame meant nothing to him. When asked how he did the impossible, he shrugged. "I wasn't alone. I had the best crew, the best tank. I just did my duty, and I was lucky." Luck runs out. 2 months later, on August 8th, 1944, the Normandy Campaign neared its end. Wittmann led 8 Tigers along Route 158 on a counterattack against advancing Canadian and British forces. The Allies were ready. Fireflies hidden in orchards. Gunners trained on the Tigers' weak points. At 12:47 p.m., Wittmann's new command tank, Tiger 007, rounded a bend. British gunner Joe Ikens, in a hidden Firefly, aimed at the engine compartment 800 meters away. His first round hit, damaging the engine. The second hit the left air intake, causing fuel to leak. The third hit the ammo rack, and the Tiger exploded. The turret flew off, landing in a nearby field. Wittmann and his